My name is Rowie Morrison. I'm a storyteller and I'd like to share with you a tale that has a special place in my heart. It was translated from Gaelic to English by a wonderful storyteller called George W. Macpherson. It's called The Two Swans on the Loch. In the ancient land of Alba, in a time when folk still believed in magic, there lived a young and lithe hunter called Oy. Now it was said that Oy was the greatest of all hunters, for he could track any animal far into the hills and shoot a bird with a silver-tipped arrow while it was but a speck in the sky. Oy lived for the hunt and spent his days with his companions, roaming over the misty moors and all the green glens. And he spent his nights feasting on the kill and drinking sweet and strong heather ale. And one day while Oy was out in the great glen, by the north wind it brought a sweet sound to his ears. It was soft, like a mother's lullaby, and it seemed to be calling him. So he followed this enchanted sound until he came to the sacred grove, and there sat Yellowsid, picking herbs for her mother Morgai. Now Yellowsid, she was fairy face and full of grace, and in that moment when their eyes gazed upon each other, time itself stood still. For their hearts and their souls were bonded for all eternity by a love that would shine brighter than all the stars in the sky. For that day on, while they forsook all others and spent their time in all their secret wee places. But Yellowsid's mother, Morgai, she was a cunning woman of great magical powers. She wasn't happy that her only daughter wanted to marry who? Oy the hunter? For she deemed him unworthy. And upon hearing this, Yellowsid cried out, "I would rather be a bird in the sky, singing my song to Oy than to live a life without him." Well, we are called dark eyes and a stain in her heart. Her mother spoke these words, "Then a bird ye shall be, but nae song shall you hae." Yellowsid looked down. Her feet were webbed, her body covered in feathers, her arms were wings. Her mother had turned her own flesh and blood into a great white swan, and with a beat of her giant wings she flew off high into the sky in search of Oy. The next morning Oy went to look for Yellowsid. First of all he searched in all their secret wee places, but he couldn't find her. So then he searched over all the glens, but still he couldn't find her. Then he searched over all the moorland, but still he couldn't find her. Well, that night he returned home to his cottage with a heavy heart. But he searched each and every day after that. Still he couldn't find her. But there, all the while following him, overhead wherever he went, was this great white swan, until one day, in a fit of irritation, he drew his bow and shot it through the breast. Well, it fell at his feet with a sickening thud. The spell was broken. 'Twas not a swan that lay at his feet, 'twas Yelisid, with his silver-tipped arrow through her breast. And as he picked her up and held her dying body in his arms, she sung a song to him that was so beautifully sad that the old gods wept for 7 days and 7 nights, and with her final breath she said all had been worth it for this last moment in his arms. And then she died. Oy buried her in the sacred grove where they first met, and he placed a cairn of stones upon her body. But he was so full of remorse for what he had done that he couldn't eat, for food that tasted like the ash a bone in his mouth. He couldn't drink, for ale tasted like warm thick blood. He couldn't sleep, for his dreams they were just full of death and dying. And in his darkest hour, Morgai the witch, he came to him.
I cannot bring Yelisid back,
she said.
but if you agree to take the form that she bore afore she died, I can promise you will be with for her.
Oh, he just nodded his head in silent agreement. She wove her dark magic and disappeared into the black night. The next morning, Oi's companions came to search for him, but he was nowhere to be seen. But there, on the shores of the Loch, lay the bodies of 2 white swans, Yin's silver-tipped arrow through their breasts and their necks intertwined. But weep not, for their spirits had already flown to the summer lands, the lands of the ever young, and it is said that if the north wind blows down the great glen, if you listen closely, you can still hear Yelisid singing to Oi. That is the story of the 2 swans on the Loch.